The commoners of Haiyang County, long protective of their beloved magistrate's family, rose in unison against the arrogance of Prince Jin's princess consort. Seeing the guards brandish weapons against the gentle mother Xiao, the townspeople swarmed the courthouse, turning from mere spectators into a wall of defiance. Xiao Hanzheng stepped into the fray, his presence commanding and cold. With a sharp directive, he labeled the unruly guards as bandits colluding with local threats, giving the bailiffs and the townspeople the legal and moral authority to clamp them in irons. As tensions reached a breaking point, Yuan Songling emerged, blinded by her own indignation. Just as she sought to assert her dominance, Liang Yulin seized his moment, stepping forward to claim the guards as his own detainees, effectively turning the tables on the princess consort. With a wave of his hand, Liang Yulin deployed his elite secret guards, swiftly neutralizing Yuan Songling's men. He coldly declared the captured guards to be the very assassins who had previously ambushed him, forcing the princess consort into an impossible defensive position. The accusation was a masterstroke. By linking the attempted murder of the old madam to the silencing of witnesses to the prince's assassination, the narrative shifted entirely. Yuan Songling found herself transformed from an accuser into a villain in the eyes of the public. Zai Rong, fueled by ancestral hatred, relentlessly piled on the pressure, ensuring that hundreds of witnesses stood ready to testify against Yuan Songling. The princess consort was left isolated, her status as royalty suddenly powerless against the collective resolve of Haiyang County. Xiao Hanzheng wasted no time in capitalizing on the momentum, drafting a formal accusation that transformed local gossip into legal evidence. The commoners, eager to support their magistrate, lined up to sign their names, cementing a conspiracy against Prince Jin's household. In a moment of delusional desperation, Yuan Songling confronted Liang Yulin, demanding he remember past favors. But the prince remained indifferent, leaving her shattered as his cold rejection signaled the end of any influence she might have held over him. Humiliated and scorned, Yuan Songling fled the scene, her reputation in shreds. Her dramatic exit only served to deepen the public's disdain, as the group solidified the narrative that the princess consort was a volatile, scheming, and dangerous woman. The document, signed by hundreds, was entrusted to Liang Yulin to be sent at top speed to the capital. Xiao Hanzheng watched as the prince accepted the scroll, knowing this move would force the emperor's hand against the house of Prince Jin. Back in her quarters, Yuan Songling and her daughter simmered in rage, planning to invoke Prince Jin's military might to flatten the county. They were unaware that their actions had already crossed the point of no return. Far away, the news reached Prince Jin like a bolt of lightning. Realizing his princess consort had handed his rivals the perfect pretext to dismantle his influence, the prince descended into a fit of uncontrolled fury, realizing he had been betrayed by his own family's incompetence. The emperor read the memorial with glee, seeing it as the ultimate opportunity to strike at Prince Jin. With a stroke of his brush, he turned the tide, issuing imperial edicts that would expose the rot within his brother's residence to the entire kingdom. Liang Mingjiu, newly arrived and well-informed, realized his stepmother's power was a mere illusion. When summoned, he no longer bowed in fear, sensing the shift in the balance of power within the house of Prince Jin. A cup flew toward him, but the old fear was gone. Liang Mingjiu stood his ground, forcing Yuan Songling to realize that her reign of terror over her stepchildren had finally met its match. In a final, desperate act of madness, the princess consort ordered a fire to be set at the county yamen, hoping to silence those who had shamed her. She demanded arson, unaware of the trap she was setting for her own son. Liang Mingjiu refused, seeing the path to destruction she laid out before him. With his refusal, the last vestiges of the princess consort's authority crumbled, leaving her isolated in the very trap she had constructed for everyone else. The tension between Yuan Songling and Liang Mingjiu reaches a breaking point. Yuan Songling, feeling betrayed and disrespected, threatens her stepson's position as heir, while Liang Mingjiu, finally fed up with being treated like a puppet, defiantly walks away from his stepmother's tirade. Seeking comfort and validation, Yuan Songling finds her daughter, Liang Mingmin, who is equally filled with malice. They conspire to manipulate the situation, waiting for their own reinforcements to arrive so they can exact their cruel vengeance upon the county. The situation takes an uncomfortable turn as Liang Mingmen begins to aggressively pursue Zhuo Zheng, mistaking his confusion for affection. When her advances are rejected, her twisted nature manifests in violence, leading to a heated confrontation that leaves the two former allies permanently estranged. After the violent fallout, Zhuo Zheng stands his ground against the disgraced princess, rejecting her threats and vowing to resist her. Meanwhile, at the capital, Prince Jin faces mounting pressure from the emperor to control his family's chaotic behavior. Shi Qingluo makes a grand entrance back into Heian County. She is no longer just a commoner, but a princess, accompanied by royal guards and her proud, decorated goose, Dummy, who seems to command the attention of the entire crowd. The moment of truth arrives at the county government office. Before a crowd of onlookers, an imperial decree is read. Shi Qingluo is honored as Princess Fubao, and Liang Mingmen is stripped of her status, demoted to a mere county princess. As the decree is finalized, the weight of the emperor's judgment falls heavily upon Liang Mingmen. The humiliation is absolute, and the power dynamic shifts irrevocably as the former princess realizes she is now at the mercy of those she once oppressed. The power struggle intensifies as Shi Qingluo demands proper etiquette from the now-demoted Liang Mingmen. Despite the lack of cooperation, Shi Qingluo masterfully uses the law and the presence of imperial officials to corner her rival. Shi Qingluo invites the local commoners to witness the proceedings and suggest punishments for Liang Mingmen's insubordination. The commoners, who have long suffered under the princess's cruelty, find catharsis in seeing their oppressor held accountable. In a twist of irony, Zhuo Zheng is tasked by Shi Qingluo to carry out the punishment. Seeing a chance to retaliate for his own mistreatment, he steps forward, turning the former allies into bitter enemies in front of the entire county. The public humiliation is swift and brutal, as Zhuo Zheng delivers 30 slaps to Liang Mingmen's face. The crowd watches in awe as the once untouchable princess is reduced to a weeping, disheveled figure. Shi Qingluo coolly distances herself from the extreme nature of the punishment, leaving Zhuo Zheng to bear the consequences of his zeal. With the confrontation over, she finally reunites with Xiao Hanzheng, sharing a tender moment of victory. Dummy, the newly minted Goose King, continues to charm the populace and its owners alike. As the day concludes, the county moves forward, though the shadow of Prince Jin's inevitable arrival looms over everyone involved. The aftermath of the public beating leaves Yuan Songling seething with rage. She attempts to comfort her daughter, turning their humiliation into a burning desire for retribution that they hope Prince Jin will satisfy upon his arrival. Behind closed doors, the power couple discusses the volatile situation. They ponder the complicated fate of Prince Yi and Xiao Hanzheng's mother, while preparing for the inevitable show that will occur when Prince Jin eventually reaches the county. Life in Heian County continues to thrive as Shi Qingluo introduces exotic canned fruits to the villagers. The gesture secures the hearts of the people, further solidifying the couple's influence and the county's reputation as a prosperous hub. Prince Jin finally arrives, only to be met with a sight he did not expect: a clean, orderly, and bustling county town. As he enters, he is greeted by the strange, noble spectacle of a Goose King patrolling the streets, marking his introduction to the reality of Shi Qingluo's domain. In the heart of the county, a curious sight draws a crowd. Shi Qingluo is distributing canned fruit to the locals, creating a stir that catches the attention of the arriving Liang Yuzhen. As he surveys the scene, he recognizes her tactical move to win over the people and the local merchants. Upon arriving at the courtyard, Liang Yuzhen is met by his daughter, Liang Mingmen, who bursts forth with demands for revenge. Blinded by her own arrogance, she cries out for the massacre of the entire county, leaving Liang Mingjiu visibly cringing at his sister's lack of restraint. The attempt to incite violence meets a cold wall of reality as Liang Yuzhen refuses his daughter's ruthless request. Tensions boil over in the main hall between him and Yuan Songling, as the prince realizes his influence in the north is threatened by their reckless and short-sighted behavior. The madness escalates as Liang Mingmen demands that Zhuo Zheng be captured and enslaved to her whims. Liang Yuzhen, hearing his daughter express her twisted desire to torture her own younger brother, loses all remaining patience. A sharp, stinging slap rings out through the hall. Liang Yuzhen, disgusted by the shameless cruelty displayed by his family, lashes out at Liang Mingmen. The silence that follows is heavy, as Yuan Songling realizes her usual manipulative tactics no longer hold sway over the prince. Power shifts in an instant as Liang Yuzhen finally severs the strings of his indulgence. He threatens to send Yuan Songling and Liang Mingmen back to their maternal home, shattering their sense of superiority and leaving them to stew in their own isolation. In the depths of the night, a loyal maidservant pledges to carry out the dark wishes of Yuan Songling and Liang Mingmen. They believe they have found an instrument of their revenge, unaware that they are playing directly into a trap set for them. While the villains scheme, Xiao Hanzheng and Shi Qingluo are already 3 steps ahead. They have successfully turned the maidservant into their own double agent, exploiting her deep-seated hatred for the women who wronged her family to expose their murderous intent. The trap is set. With a basket in hand, the maidservant slips through the gate under the guise of a trivial errand. The unsuspecting guards let her pass, unaware that she carries the spark that will ignite the downfall of the princess consort. As the night deepens, Xiao Hanzheng finalizes the arrangements. He ensures that when the fire burns, it will not consume their home, but rather the reputations of those who sought to destroy them. The silence of the night is shattered by the crackle of flames. Xiao Hanzheng watches the fire grow until it is undeniable, then raises his voice, bringing the entire county, including Prince Yi, to the rescue. Caught in the act, the maidservant is surrounded. At Xiao Hanzheng's prompt, she spews arrogance, openly admitting she was sent by the princess consort to burn down the office and kill the inhabitants, hoping to strike fear into the people. The revelation causes an uproar. The commoners, already protective of their local heroes, are now filled with righteous indignation. They march, thousands strong, toward the prince's residence, demanding justice for the attempted murder of an official. Inside the courtyard, Liang Yuzhen is jolted awake by the news. The realization hits him like a hammer. His wife has committed an unforgivable crime in the most public way possible, and there is no longer any way to shield her. The confrontation begins. Liang Yuzhen maintains a veneer of calm, but his eyes reveal his mounting fury. He watches as Xiao Hanzheng and Shi Qingluo present the evidence, forcing him to face the fallout of the princess consort's madness. The evidence is undeniable. The princess consort's own bank seal is produced. Liang Yuzhen is speechless at the sheer stupidity of the act. As Yuan Songling and Liang Mingmen enter, their shock reveals their own complicity, sealing their fate. Unable to contain her ego, Liang Mingmen foolishly admits to the scheme, hoping to assert her power. It is the final nail in the coffin. Liang Yuzhen watches in horror as his daughter destroys any remaining possibility of a clean escape. Betrayal hangs heavy in the air. The maidservant, cornered by Xiao Hanzheng, turns her wrath toward Yuan Songling, spilling the truth of their murderous conspiracy before silencing herself forever with a blade. With the servant dead, the silence that follows is suffocating. Prince Jin is left holding the wreckage of a reputation, realizing that his own inner circle has become a liability he can no longer command. Shi Qingluo refuses to be a victim, instead turning the tables on Prince Jin. She demands justice for the attempted murder, forcing the powerful prince to navigate the narrow path between his pride and his political survival. The arrival of Liang Yulin seals the fate of the princess consort. Seeing his own brother demand accountability, Prince Jin makes a ruthless decision, choosing to cast aside Yuan Songling and her daughter to wash his hands of their failure. The courtroom is stunned by Prince Jin's cold, calculated move. Shi Qingluo sees through the facade. This is not justice, but a strategic sacrifice of those he no longer finds useful. Rejecting the shallow apology of a divorce, Shi Qingluo strikes where it hurts most. She demands that Yuan Songling and her kin fund a massive road project, turning their crime into a catalyst for the region's prosperity. Cornered by logic and public expectation, Prince Jin yields to the demand. Yuan Songling watches in disbelief as the man she sacrificed everything for discards her, finally seeing his true, heartless nature. The deal is struck. Xiao Hanzheng acknowledges the prince's righteousness with a cold sharpness, knowing full well that both the prince and his former consort have been thoroughly outmaneuvered by his brilliant wife. The politics of the north turn vicious. While Prince Jin attempts to salvage his image, Shi Qingluo ensures that every coin extracted from his former consort's coffers is destined for the benefit of the common people. Watching the gears of power turn, Xiao Hanzheng realizes that Prince Jin's public display of integrity is merely a mask for long-held resentment. The collapse of the family unit is complete. The humiliation of Yuan Songling is final. Stripped of her status and her husband's favor, she realizes too late that she was never more than a pawn in a game played by a master manipulator. Desperation sets in, but Prince Jin offers no mercy. He discards his former consort, treating her touch as an insult, and finalizes his plan to exile her back to the north. Even the daughter, Liang Mingmin, finds no refuge in his affection. Prince Jin sees only a liability, his long-practiced paternal act crumbling under the weight of her repeated, foolish transgressions. Behind closed doors, the truth is laid bare. Xiao Hanzheng and Shi Qingluo decode the reality of Prince Jin's heartless nature, finding a strange satisfaction in the downfall of their enemies. The meeting between the royal brothers is a battlefield of hidden agendas. Liang Yulin plays the part of the carefree brother to perfection, driving Prince Jin to the brink of fury. Shi Qingluo expertly denies Prince Jin the easy victory he sought. By announcing the systematic distribution of potatoes, she locks away the resource before he can seize it for himself. The game of masks continues. Liang Yulin exerts his influence, trapping Prince Jin in a web of social obligation that forces the prince to flee the county, defeated by his own brother's deviousness. As the dust settles, Xiao Hanzheng finally sees the man beneath the scholarly charm. Liang Yulin is no harmless guest. He is a wolf, and the dance between them has only just begun. After securing his son's position, Prince Jin departs for the north, unaware that a lethal trap has been laid in his path. Liang Yulin watches from afar, his mind churning with dark plots and long-held grievances against his brother. Prince Yi, feigning the role of an idle prince, orchestrated the assassination attempt. He reveals the secret of the Dragon Guards, a double-edged sword left by their father that has now turned brother against brother. The ambush forces Prince Jin to confront the bitter reality. His father, whom he adored, secretly armed Liang Yulin with the other half of the elite Dragon Guards. The betrayal stings deeper than any blade. Having barely survived, Prince Jin consumes his rage, swearing to retaliate. The northern border has become a chessboard, and the pieces are moving toward a violent, inevitable collision. Xiao Hanzheng and Shi Qingluo decode the intelligence of the ambush. They are stunned by the cunning nature of Prince Yi, an old wolf hidden in sheep's clothing who is now weaving himself into their family dynamic. They contemplate the dangerous dance between Mother Xiao and Prince Yi. Despite the prince's black-hearted nature, Xiao Hanzheng realizes his power might be the only shield strong enough to protect his mother from his own scumbag father. The frog boils in the warm water as Mother Xiao begins to soften toward Prince Yi. Oblivious to the intense political and emotional schemes surrounding her, she steps out into the night, hand in hand with the man who seeks to claim her. As the travelers prepare for their journey, news arrives of a birth. Tao Liu has delivered a girl, a fragile life already marked by the venomous intentions of the jealous Ji Chunru. On the road to the border, the journey is slow and arduous. Shi Qingluo initiates plans to modernize the infrastructure, while Prince Yi ensures the comfort of the women, solidifying his place in their lives. In the general's residence, Xiao Yuanqi greets his newborn daughter with hidden disappointment. The facade of his household is shattered when debt collectors arrive, demanding payment for his brother-in-law's gambling debts. Tao Liu detects the treachery surrounding her, protecting her infant daughter from those who would use sickness as a weapon. Her maternal instinct turns into a defensive shield against the hidden dangers in the house. Outside, the chaos escalates. Ji Chunru's brother faces the brutal consequences of his gambling addiction. The thugs, unafraid of the general, have already begun their cruel harvest. Xiao Yuanqi chooses self-preservation, abandoning his wife to her brother's fate. He refuses to intercede, forcing Ji Chunru to face the cold reality that her influence has withered away. Old Lady Xiao unleashes her long-suppressed anger, publicly shaming Ji Chunru for squandering the family's wealth. As the debt collectors drag her brother away, the household teeters on the brink of total breakdown. Desperation drives Ji Chunru into the heart of the enemy's den. She watches in horror as her brother is prepared for mutilation, his cries echoing through the sordid backrooms. The leader of the thugs holds a blade over her brother's hand, offering a grim alternative to immediate amputation. Ji Chunru, blinded by her devotion to her siblings, prepares to walk deeper into a trap from which there may be no return. In the cold shadows of the gambling den, Ji Chunru realizes the true intent behind her brother's captivity. The burly man, devoid of pity, demands a price far higher than silver, a secret map held by Xiao Yuanxi. Blinded by jealousy and betrayal, Ji Chunru agrees to the treacherous bargain. She secures the tools to ruin Xiao Yuanxi, choosing a path of permanent destruction to ensure he will never father another heir. With the poison in her possession, Ji Chunru returns to the mansion, a spider weaving her web. She promises to return with the map, unaware that she has fully committed her fate to the hands of those who despise her. The humiliation of the courtyard becomes the fuel for Ji Chunru's burning hatred. Forced to kneel under the blistering sun, she marks every taunt of the Xiao family in her heart, waiting for the moment to strike back. With a steady hand, Ji Chunru prepares the tainted brew. She lures Xiao Yuanxi into the study, using a thin veil of concern to mask the poison that will soon rewrite the future of the governor's house. After the confrontation turns violent, the study falls into silence. Alone at last, Ji Chunru turns her gaze to a seemingly ordinary vase, sensing that the prize she desperately needs is hidden within its fragile frame. Success tastes bitter as Ji Chunru uncovers the map. The weight of the parchment in her hands marks the point of no return. She is now a conspirator against her own husband, playing a deadly game of cat and mouse. At the gambling den, the exchange is swift. Ji Chunru trades the map for her brother's freedom, emboldened by the belief that she has secured a future for herself and her kin, regardless of the cost to Xiao Yuanxi. As she leads her brother away, the facade of familial concern masks the terror within. Ji Chunru thinks she has bought safety, failing to realize she has only deepened the trap set by those who use her. A dark secret is revealed in Liu Ru's chamber. A plot to infect the infant daughter with smallpox is thwarted, leading back to the cold ambition of Ji Chunru. Xiao Yuanxi's fury knows no bounds. The betrayal within his own walls demands a brutal response, and he grants Liu Ru's request for a vengeance that mirrors the malice of their attacker. The final blow lands in the study. Discovering the stolen map, Xiao Yuanxi finally connects the dots between his wife's previous chaos and the current ruin, realizing the viper he has harbored in his home. Confrontation erupts in the quiet courtyard. Xiao Yuanxi breaks the silence with a blow, shattering the thin pretense of duty as he confronts his concubine about the stolen map and the betrayal of his house. The masks fall away entirely. Ji Chunru reveals her ultimate act of spite, the poisoning of her own husband. She revels in the realization that she has broken his lineage just as he broke her heart. Their past love is now a scorched wasteland. As Ji Chunru admits to her poison and her malice, Xiao Yuanxi stands paralyzed by the weight of his own blindness, realizing that he has nurtured his own destruction. Betrayal curdles into pure malice. As Ji Chunru taunts Xiao Yuanxi with his own failures and the abandonment of his children, the deputy governor snaps, his hands tightening around her throat as years of hidden resentment boil over into a desperate act of violence. The punishment takes a dark, irreversible turn. After failing to conceive with his concubines, Xiao Yuanxi seeks medical counsel, only to face the devastating truth that he has been poisoned into permanent infertility. A cold, surgical vengeance enacted by the woman he once called his true love. In the solitude of the night, Xiao Yuanxi decides on a cruel path. He casts Ji Chunru out, not to kill her, but to let her fall into the hands of her own reliable family, intending to watch her suffer the slow decay of her own choices. The fall from grace is swift. Discarded by the man she once manipulated, Ji Chunru finds herself standing on the cold street, her future uncertain, fueled only by the hollow promise of future revenge. Seeking sanctuary, Ji Chunru returns to Ji Chunyi. Blinded by the belief that family is her ultimate safety net, she fails to see the predatory glint in her brother's eyes as she hands over her remaining wealth to fund his gambling addiction. Miles away, the architect of this downfall watches from the shadows. Xiao Hanzheng, informed of his father's eunuch status and the exile of his stepmother, prepares his next move, satisfied that the slow burn of karma is finally consuming his enemies. A crisp breeze carries the scent of victory. Shi Qingluo and Mother Xiao sit in the shade, the weight of years of grievance finally lifting as they revel in the karmic wreckage of Shi Qingluo and the eunuch Xiao Yuanxi. The Game of Thrones continues. Shi Qingluo and Liang Yulin analyze the shifting landscape, deciding how to pivot now that the treasure map has fallen into the wrong hands, turning their focus toward the next tactical opportunity. With the final knots in her heart undone, Mother Xiao finds joy in the simplest of tasks. Her newfound confidence blooms in the kitchen, proving that the best revenge is a life lived with peace, laughter, and healing. A quiet moment of vulnerability unfolds between Liang Yulin and Mother Xiao. The prince offers not just protection, but a promise, a rare sincerity that causes Mother Xiao to question if her heart might find a second spring. The journey back to Heian County brings honest revelations. Mother Xiao seeks the blessing of her children, only to find that Shi Qingluo and Xiao Bailey are not only accepting, but wholeheartedly supportive of her finding love again. The road ahead is rarely straight. A silent guard intercepts their progress, bringing news that disrupts their journey. The third prince is being hunted, and destiny is forcing a confrontation in the wilderness. The forest becomes a theater of war. Shi Qingluo, commanding the scene with strategic calm, coordinates an ambush to save the third prince, refusing to let the chaos of the borderlands claim a vital ally. The Ji soldiers learn too late that their target is no fragile noblewoman. Shi Qingluo reveals her hidden strength, moving with lethal grace to dismantle the cavalry, protecting herself and the third prince with iron resolve. Dust settles on the forest floor. The third prince, alive thanks to Shi Qingluo's intervention, recognizes the true power standing before him, as the web of betrayal and assassination is torn apart by the Princess of Fubao. In the wake of a dangerous ambush, Shi Qingluo takes command of the interrogation, ensuring that the Ji Kingdom's spies are squeezed for every piece of critical intelligence. While guards deal with the captives, Shi Qingluo shares tea with the third prince, realizing that their intended path back to Heian County is now crawling with enemy traps. Upon receiving news of the peril, Liang Yulin arrives, his heart burning with cold vengeance against those who dared to target his daughter-in-law. Sheltered in a secure courtyard, Shi Qingluo finds comfort in the unwavering bravery of her family, preparing for the inevitable conflict ahead. Miles away, Xiao Hanzheng launches a series of lightning-fast raids against the Ji elite, systematically dismantling their ambush formations. Forced into the fray, Xiao Yuanxi reluctantly commits his troops, caught in the complex web of his son's tactical orchestrations. As the Ji army grows restless, Shi Qingluo presents Prince Yi with a tactical advantage, a secret weapon that promises to turn the tide of the siege. Beneath the night sky, a game of chess becomes a display of wits, proving that Shi Qingluo's tactical mind is more than a match for a royal prince. A sharp-tongued lesson follows, as Liang Yulin finally reveals his true intentions toward the Xiao family, leaving his nephew reeling in shock. United by purpose, the group moves forward, their bonds growing stronger as they prepare to execute the final phase of their daring plan. From the safety of the city walls, the team watches as the Ji elite succumb to the effects of the secret powder, their strength dissolving into chaos. The tide turns instantly. The once terrifying Ji soldiers are rounded up like livestock, leaving their commanders in a state of utter disbelief. The victory is but a precursor. As the town celebrates, Shi Qingluo and Prince Yi look toward the horizon, waiting to catch the next big fish in their trap. Even as the threat grows, the inner circle remains unfazed, their confidence stemming from absolute faith in Shi Qingluo's grand design. Liang Yulin takes a moment to mentor his nephew, showcasing the brilliance of Xiao Hanzheng, who has successfully orchestrated the battlefield from afar. Final pieces fall into place as Xiao Hanzheng effectively manipulates the situation, forcing his father to play the role of the hero in a performance he didn't choose.